You walk into a room, and within seconds, you become someone else. Your voice changes. A little higher, maybe. A little softer. Your posture changes. Your shoulders curl in, just slightly. Even your sense of humor disappears. The real one, anyway. 5 minutes ago, you were yourself. Now you're a version of you. And the strangest part? You can feel it happening. You notice the shift, and you still can't stop it. If this happens to you, you are not fake. You are not weak. This is one of the most human things your brain does. And it runs far deeper than you think. Older than you. Wired in. By the end of this, you'll know exactly why it happens. And why the version you become might be telling you something important. Let's start with something a sociologist figured out decades ago. His name was Irving Goffman, and he said something that changes everything. All of life, he said, is a kind of theater. We're always performing. Not faking. Performing. Playing the role the moment calls for. At work, you're one role. With old friends, another. With family, another. This is normal. Healthy, even. Every human alive does it. You don't talk to your boss the way you talk to your best friend. And that's fine. That's just being socially fluent. But here's where it stops being fine. Certain people pull a very specific version of you out. One you don't like. Around them, you shrink. Or you perform. Or you just vanish. And afterward you think, that wasn't me. Why do I do that? So the real question isn't whether you play roles. We all do. The question is, why does this person pull out that version? Let's find out. Your brain does not treat every person the same way. Every important relationship in your life has its own neural signature. A specific pattern of brain activity that belongs only to that person. When you see them, that pattern fires automatically. Instantly. Before you decide anything. Before you even think. It's already running. Then something else kicks in. Mirror neurons. These are cells that fire both when you act and when you watch someone act. They're why yawns are contagious. Why you wince at someone's stubbed toe. And around certain people, they make you mirror everything. Their tone, their energy, their rhythm. You match it without trying. And it goes deeper than body language. It reaches your mind itself. You start adopting their mood, their way of seeing things, even their sense of what's okay to say out loud. Your nervous system is running a cached version of who you are with them. And the cache is old. It might be years out of date. So you're not choosing this. Your brain is auto-loading an old role. Efficient, fast, and completely outside your awareness. Which raises the obvious question. Why these specific people? There are a few reasons. And the first one is power. When someone has power over you, your brain switches into a careful mode. Real power, like a boss. Or just power you believe they have. Your nervous system whispers, don't risk it. Play it safe. Shrink. The second reason is history. The weight of who you used to be. The person who knew you at your most awkward carries that version of you. And around them, you feel that old self get pulled back to the surface. The third reason is the fear of being judged. Around people whose opinion matters, you start watching yourself. And the watching is exhausting. It pulls you out of the moment. The fourth reason goes all the way back to childhood. The way you learn to stay safe as a kid is still wired in. If you learn to keep quiet to keep the peace, that habit waits. And certain people press exactly that old button, without knowing it. Your brain says, this matches an old pattern. Run the old behavior. It's pattern matching. Fast, ancient, and usually invisible. So it's not that you're weak around them. Your brain is being efficient. And there's a name for how far this mirroring actually goes. Psychologists call it the chameleon effect. In a famous study, people unconsciously copied each other constantly. Foot tapping, face touching. They had no idea they were doing it. And the mirroring goes way past gestures. You borrow their vocabulary. Their phrases sneak into your mouth. You match their emotional temperature, hot or cold. You even absorb their idea of what's appropriate to say. And here's the kicker. It gets stronger when you like the person, or when you really want them to like you. Because underneath all this is one ancient, powerful need. The need to belong, to not be cast out from the group. For most of human history, being cast out meant death. So your nervous system will bend your whole identity to stay included. To your brain, being yourself is less urgent than being accepted. That trait felt like survival once. It still feels that way now. But there's one more layer. And it's the deepest one. When someone has known you a long time, they hold a model of you. A picture in their mind of who you are. And that picture is frozen. It's usually who you were when the relationship first formed. And when you're near them, you feel the pull of that frozen picture. Without deciding to, you collapse back into it. You become the picture. It's like gravity. Their version of you bends you toward itself. This is why family can make you feel 16 again. They're relating to the kid you were. So the kid wakes up. It's not regression because you're broken. It's relational pull. The frozen image is strong, but it is not the truth of who you are now. Seeing that clearly is the first crack of light. But before we go on, let me ask you to do one small thing. If this is making you think of one specific person, subscribe. We name the invisible here. So who are these people exactly? Let's get specific. Bosses. Anyone who controls something you need. Approval. Income. Opportunity. The things you can't afford to lose. Parents. Because that's where your original patterns were installed. They wrote the first draft of how you relate to everyone. Certain friends. The ones from before you became who you are now. Exes. Because that relationship scripted a role you played for years. And people you want to impress. That's a trap of its own. Around aspiration, you stop existing and start auditioning. Look at what all of them share. Stakes. Real or imagined. Something feels like it's on the line. So the guard goes up. And the higher the stakes, the bigger the performance. Which leads to a painful little paradox. It's often worst with the people you love the most. Because with them, the stakes are highest of all. You desperately need them to see the real you. And that need makes you watch yourself like a hawk. You monitor every word. You edit yourself in real time. And the watching creates the very stiffness you were trying to avoid. There's a cruel rule here. The harder you try not to do something, the more your mind locks onto exactly that thing. Try to be natural, and you go stiff. Try to be yourself, and you become a performance of yourself. It's a loop. Wanting to be real makes you less real. And it hurts most where you most want to be known. If you felt this, you already understand it from the inside. So let me ask you something, and I really want your answer. Who is that one person around whom you lose yourself? You don't have to name them. Just tell me in the comments. What version of you shows up? I read them. Now here's what I most want you to understand. This is not a character flaw. It is a nervous system doing its oldest job. Your brain has a built-in social threat detector. It scans for judgment, rejection, exclusion. Constantly. Silently. When it senses a threat, it picks protection over honesty. Every time. And the thoughtful part of your brain partly steps aside. The older, survival-wired part takes the controls. It runs the safest version of you it has on file for this person. The one that historically didn't get you hurt around them. So that shrinking, that performing, it kept you safe once. It's not weakness. It's your brain doing exactly what it was built to do. Once you really get that, the shame starts to lift. And here's the part almost nobody realizes. The version you become is not random. It's a message. The way you shrink around your boss, it's telling you something. Something about how you relate to authority and to your own worth. The way you regress around your parents, also a message. It points to a need from long ago that's still waiting to be met. The way you perform for people you want to impress, it shows you where you've outsourced your sense of value. These triggered versions of you are not noise. They're maps. Maps to the exact places inside you that still need care. The people who pull out your worst versions are accidental teachers. Not because they're kind, because they reveal your edges. They show you where your sense of self is still under construction. And that, strangely, is a gift. An uncomfortable, useful gift. Because you can't heal an edge you can't see. These people switch the light on, even if they never meant to. So the goal was never to never change around anyone. The goal is to see the shift clearly enough to choose. So what do you actually do? Step 1, you've already started. Awareness. Just noticing the shift as it happens. The behavior is automatic. But noticing creates a tiny gap. And in that gap lives a choice you didn't have before. Step 2. Pause. Even half a second is enough to start. That pause lets the thoughtful part of your brain come back online. Step 3 is the anchor. Your values. Not your mood. Not your fear. What you actually believe. Ask quietly, what do I actually want to say here? Values don't change based on who's in the room. They're the anchor when the social current tries to sweep you off. This takes practice. The old pattern won't just vanish. But every time you choose your values over the script, you lay down a little more of a new road. Slowly, being yourself around them stops feeling dangerous. Not because they changed, because your nervous system finally learned it's safe. That's real freedom. Not performing. Not hiding. just being. And it starts with one clear moment of noticing, like the ones you've had today. So let's come back to that doorway. You walking in, about to shift. Only now you can see the whole machine behind that little change. Old patterns, mirror neurons, frozen pictures, ancient fear. All of it trying, in its clumsy way, to keep you safe. You are not the small version that shows up around them. You never were. That was a role, a cached, outdated role. But that role was pointing at something true the whole time. It showed you what you're still afraid of. And that's useful, because a fear you can see is a fear you can finally work with. The next time you feel yourself shift, don't panic. Just notice. Say to yourself, gently, there it is. That's the old pattern. I have a choice. And in that choice, quiet, ordinary, repeated, you slowly come home to yourself.